if a doctor says that you're not allowed to carry a firearm, you shouldn't be allowed to carry a firearm. That's the law. It's already there. I still advocate for firearms. I went to work for one of the organizations, to not be named, not a friend of the show. What the heck is that utopia? Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they really did that the right way.
Yeah. Chicago, friend of the show, the whole city.
You have the politics on it, the judges that release, early release or small bonds to repeat offenders, and they let them back out. And then, 2 weeks later, they murder this person.
So all of these things happen to you. You've started getting on the road to recovery, and at a certain point, there's now a part of you that goes, okay, I can be a man about this. I can push forward. I have to provide for my family. And you've gone on to advocate for gun rights because of it. And that's why I was making the joke in the earlier segment. You're a huge proponent for firearms, and you attribute your success and safety to the fact that you were able to have a firearm on you.
I mean, after the fact, it's kind of like I was carrying a firearm, and I'm thankful for that. Although, yes, I've had that, those comments or, well, you got shot by a gun. Shouldn't you be against them? It's not the tool. I mean, a gun is just a tool.
Right.
That's it. So I can't blame the tool, for what happened.
Sure.
It's kind of like, there's more deaths in car accidents than there is in, gunfire.
Right, but you drove here today.
But I drove here today. So, it could have been like, oh, this person, died in a car accident and this many cars and 6 died and all that. And then it's like, but the one survivor, like, oh, I'm against cars.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. And, the media and, the whole politics, they want to push that narrative, oh, gun violence. So let's ban guns. Let's, get rid of them. Let's, gun control and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, all they're doing is harming, the law-abiding citizens.
Right.
I grew up in California where gun laws are a lot stricter.
Yeah.
You can't carry. And now if you want a CCW in California, you jump through all these, hoops and obstacles just to be able to carry. Say this was in California, I'd be on trial.
Right.
Why was I carrying in the first place?
Right.
It's illegal.
Right.
Although, yes, you stopped the threat and all this, but you stopped the threat with an illegal gun, and now you're going to be tried for murder and this and that. And so
Right, you broke the law to
save
other people
so
from someone breaking the law.
So again, after the fact, I start advocating.
Yeah.
Start telling the story, and I thank God, for getting me up and doing what I did, but also a thanks for being in a state that allows me to carry.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here.
And likely just about everyone else at that gathering wouldn't be here.
I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, it's just a tool. We don't have a problem with guns or anything like that.
Right.
It's just more of that mental illness.
Yeah.
And the media, the politics and all that, they try to nip that, oh, the problem is the gun, but it's not the gun.
Right.
It's the people behind it, the people that are using it to do harm.
Right. And on top of that, you have it becomes a slippery slope when it comes to addressing the concept of firearms ownership and mental illness, right? And they're, have attempted to push red flag laws and all of these things. And it should be illegal that if a doctor says that you're not allowed to carry a firearm, you shouldn't be allowed to carry a firearm. That's the law. It's already there, right? It should be there. I get it. If you are not mentally well, if you are prone to go attack someone, then yeah, you shouldn't be allowed to own a firearm. But at what rubric are we able to judge that? Because you looked at me sideways in a store. Now I go, oh, no, you shouldn't have a firearm because you've intimidated me. Does it mean if you're on psychotropics? Does it mean if you have admitted that you want to kill somebody? Like, at what point? Because they could take a red flag law and go after you. Well, he went through a traumatic situation, so he must have PTSD. They could go after me. He's a combat veteran. He shouldn't be allowed to own a firearm. They can go after Brandon because Brandon wears really ugly glasses.
They're very California, I'll say that.
Tom Ford, friend of the show. But no, I mean, there's just so much that goes into it that they just are using it to chip away at gun ownership, right? And even some people that act as though they're advocates have pushed for these things. I mean, when they were talking about like, oh my gosh, Pam Bondi, so great. I couldn't stand her because of what she attempted to push with the red flag laws. And I was like, no, she sucks. Then all of a sudden, the whole Epstein situation, now everybody's like, yeah, she sucks. Yeah, she did. And she sucked for a long time. Leave firearms rights alone. I will, till the end of my time, preach that.
Same.
And we met in that advocacy realm years back. And, you know, I still advocate for firearms. I went to work for one of the organizations, to not be named, not a friend of the show. And, you know, I obviously I have nothing to do with them anymore, but it's not because of what they supposedly do. It's because of who they actually are. But I mean, I'm still in contact with my people over at GOA, you know. I love those guys. They're fantastic at what they do. And, you know, I shouldn't drop his name. However, one of them just reached out to me like last week and he's like, hey, brother, they want me to go to Goals, right? And so they're like, he's like, file for a press pass. Come down here and interview people and come hang out. And I'm like, that would be fantastic for the podcast. So we might end up doing that. It just all depends. However, you know, I'm a huge proponent for firearms. And I think it would be pretty bold for me to have you come on if you were against firearms, if you were a victim of gun violence and you didn't fully support the Second Amendment still. I don't know. It's just funny because most of the people that tout that there needs to be gun control have zero understanding of how much gun control there already is to like a lunatic fringe. And they don't get that like these books are already written. There's already laws that are doing the things that you say you want done. And in many cases go even farther, right? But they hear their little talking points on social media and they latch onto them and it's gross.
For sure. I mean, I'm going to keep pushing that. I try not to get into politics. And I mean politics, like, I did it for a while.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had my beliefs and, you know, you get disappointed either way. So
right
now, like, I stay out of that. You know, there is no politician that's your friend, really, the majority. Or, you know, everybody's out for themselves.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And that's just the way I feel. So I stay away from it. But one thing I will continue to advocate for is, you know, gun ownership.
Yeah.
And I do believe, just like, you know, history shows, you strip a country or its citizens of their, you know, right to bear arms, then the government has full control, and that's when they can censor you, take away your freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and, you know, they're in full control.
It's not even history. It's current events.
It's current events,
The
yeah.
UK is a prime example of
UK,
exactly why.
Canada,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, even Mexico, like
Mexico's a big one because Mexico did it a while back ago,
yeah,
and you can see where they're heading. Mexico has one gun store for the whole country,
Yeah.
and that's in the capital, in Mexico City. They have one gun store. So if you want a gun, you got to fly out or whatever to there, and it's still not a guarantee you will get a gun.
Yeah.
You can't carry, you can't have anything. But guess what?
That's interesting.
Who's in control
They
of
have
that
so many
country?
guns there, and there's so much gun violence. That's
I
so
know, right?
odd.
I know. I mean,
It'd be so heavily
you
regulated.
can see how these, gun control laws really work.
Yeah, you know what they should do? Mexico should model their gun control laws off of what the heck is that utopia? Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they really did that the right way.
Yeah. Chicago, friend of the show, the whole city.
But no, it's interesting because again, you look at those statistics where the heaviest gun control is typically the heaviest violence.
Gun violence.
And gun violence, yes. And organized crime and all of those things. And it seems to be that power vacuum, right? If you're not able to protect yourself, then you rely heavily on the state. However, the state is completely fallible pretty much every single time. And so if you have a heavy reliance on the state, organized crime ends up forming there. They're greasing palms and wallets, and then they get away with whatever they want, right? And so then you end up having a ton more violence, and then the guns are illegal. Like, it's just a gross, vicious cycle that it's crazy to me that anybody who would look at the gun control debate and would be like, okay, just because we don't have a shining example of any place that this has ever worked, like,
Yeah.
that's crazy to me.
If people want to do something terrible, they'll do it. I mean, you were using the car comparison earlier. Well, okay. I feel like a lot of people might take that out of context and be like, well, driving to work is not the same as utilizing a weapon to hurt somebody. People use cars all the time to commit violent acts.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else they can get their hands on or utilize to commit some form of violence, it doesn't have to be a gun. It's, to your point, it's the person. This is a mental illness circumstance situation where people want to do violent, evil things to each other. They're going to find a way to do it. Places like the UK,
Knife attacks, yeah.
all the time. They are known for throwing acid in
Yeah.
faces. Like, you just walk down the street and just get a face full of acid.
Right.
It's not uncommon. They have machetes all over the place.
Well, they just had that. I want to say he was Irish.
Yeah.
Almost
I
beheaded.
think so. Yeah.
You have the politics on it, the judges that early release or small bonds to repeat offenders, and they let them back out, and then
Yeah.
2 weeks later they murder this person,
Right.
stuff like that.
That Ukrainian guy on the subway.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, you hear stories like that, and I think that's a huge problem. And that don't blame the gun, and don't blame that. You can also blame the politics. Why are they releasing these people? These
Right.
mentally ill.
Why
these
are they
repeat
allowing
offenders,
this to
Why are they
happen?
allowing
Yeah.
it? So that made me
Recidivism
think
is
of
huge.